start the meeting. Roll call, we have Tom and Brian and Keith, myself, and Steve, or Peter, I'm sorry, Peter, as voting members tonight. So you all have a copy of the agenda. Are there any adjustments that you would like to make to the agenda that's published?
Looks fine. Good.
I move we accept the agenda.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded the agenda be accepted as published. All those in favor? You can vote tonight. Okay, 5-0-0. Okay, I think you all have copies of the minutes from the July 10th.
And June 12th.
Yeah, on June 12th. Does everyone have copies of those?
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Both minutes, the June and
Yes.
July. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the June 12th and July 10th minutes. All those in favor?
I can't vote on it.
That's right.
12.
You weren't here.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, so it's 4-0-0?
401.
4-0-1, I'm sorry.
I didn't say.
Yes, you did.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a subdivision preliminary plan application review for completeness only of a revision to Phase 2 of the Ryan's Pass subdivision. And Amy's here tonight to represent the Sinclairs.
Mounted one if you guys want to see it unfolded, other than being crinkled in the car.
Okay. We'll start with Tom. Do you have any questions or anything that's not...
Not yet, no.
Okay. Amy, it's up to the board to determine that it's a complete application. Once that's been determined, then we can go into the preliminary hearing. And if the board wants, we'd have a public hearing at that time.
Okay.
I think I passed out to the board the required handouts. Now, we can waive some of those. This is for an additional lot that is buildable, and then 2 other pieces of property that would be added to existing lots.
Yes. And they have actually already been done, and we're coming in response to
Yeah.
that violation.
Tom, can you think of anything that
So
wasn't...
could we just go over the what change was, what we're doing right now in terms of the lots that were
Yep.
not in compliance?
Lot number 10 is Randall Curtis and his heirs, I think one of them is to heirs. This lot back here was sold to him, and if you look at the deed, it, because of being landlocked, it has to go with that lot from now on and can't be built upon as another lot. So that is always with that lot, as is this 100-foot section here with lot 6. And we included the deeds in your handouts just to show you that, you know, those conditions.
Amy, let's see how we can get you on it with the microphone.
Okay. As I say, my voice usually carries, so.
No, this is being televised.
Okay.
Why don't you, if you're going to stand up, why don't you utilize this mic? If you want to sit down, you can utilize the mic.
Okay. You guys all have plans in front of you, and obviously they've just moved so they can see it, so I'm gonna turn this so they can see it, if that's okay with you guys.
Okay.
So basic, and then, the final lot, which is lot 1, a larger lot was sold with that, to that owner, which has subsequently been bought back by the St. Clairs at this point. So it technically is buildable because it is a separate lot with sufficient space for building and or development. But the other 2 lots have to go with the adjacent lots that they were sold to. Regardless of who the lots are sold to, that land has to continue on with those lots. And basically the reason that this is considered a violation is note 3 on the plan is a condition by the town that any changes that are made to the subdivision need to be brought back in front of the board for a revision to the subdivision plan. And the owner apparently misunderstood that, so now we're trying to rectify that.
May I have your last name for the minutes?
Young, Y-U-N-G.
Thank you.
And my first name is A-I-M-E-E.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry. It's always difficult.
Well, all we're talking about tonight is those 3 lots.
Yep. And I guess the way I phrase them is 2 of them are, I would say, parcels more so than lots, because to me, lot means a buildable lot. So I'd say maybe 1 lot, 2 parcels, just because the other 2 aren't necessarily individual lots.
Do you want us to come back to you, Tom?
Yeah, I'm good for now.
Okay. Brian?
I'm good for now, thanks.
Keith?
Common area. Maybe I shouldn't bring it up or not, but I don't, it's not listed on any common area.
There isn't any.
But I read somewhere.
There was none listed, none. I've gone through all the approved plat plans, and none of them have common areas on.
I gotta go look this over. Go ahead. No, I'm all set for a minute.
Okay. Couple questions, Amy. We're missing some stuff.
Okay.
First of all, this is the copy. That's the last copy that was approved by the board.
Okay.
All right? If you look, and that's registered,
Yes.
okay? If you look in that, under the conditions of approval, number 4 is missing on your copy. And that's in reference to the road that should have been built 10 years ago. This is recorded here. And the other thing that's missing is notes 1 through 5.
Yeah, is this
But that's, this is the right, that should be. And we do have instructions on this.
That's not a problem.
The next problem is there's no test pit in that lot.
Like I said, it was sold before, he, you know, it was a violation, so we can add that a test pit needs to be done on that lot.
Because that can be sold as a standalone lot. Whether it will be or not is really not our concern. But I do need a test pit.
I've been referring to that as 1A, just because it was sold
Okay.
to Lot 1, so.
That's fine.
Just
I
if
don't
I,
think-
if I do call it 1A, that's what I'm referring to.
That's great. So do any of the other board members see anything that we need, additional information that we don't have? And let me say something about that road, Amy. I know you gave us a plan for additional lots, okay? You can do one of two things. You can draw that road in there off the plan you had for additional lots. If you're gonna submit that, I would recommend that that's what you do. Or you go down and just from that circle down to the, you know, where there's a line on there now. But, you know, if you eventually plan to do that other, then I would suggest that that's the road you put on there. Because it's now, I think, 16 or 17 lots, and we require, and it's a little more than the footage. I think it's 50 feet more than the required footage according to our ordinance. So we do require an entrance, 2 entrances to that particular road. And the reason that was done way back when the ordinance was created, is in case there's a blockage someplace on that road, the fire trucks can go.
Safety vehicles.
Exactly, emergency vehicles. So, speak up now if anybody else on the board has anything that's missing. If not, I'll make a motion that the plan is not complete because of those items that I pointed out to you that are missing. And if you read in the ordinance, this is a planning board decision. It's not a decision that Randy can make. It's the whole planning board has to decide whether it's a complete application or not. So if you get us that information before the September meeting, then at that meeting, we can say it's a complete application and schedule a public hearing if the board wants to have a public hearing on it.
I second your motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the 3 things that I pointed out to Amy at this time, and we'll send a letter to your
Yes, I would
company
appreciate that.
within the next, I would say, I think it gives us 3 days to get the letter to you. But that's what, I think you've taken notes, you know where we're headed, so. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion? Okay, it's 5-0-0. Do you have any questions at all, Amy?
Nope, no, just making sure, well, actually, the scheduling, so if we have the September meeting and that be a planning board, can that also be the final meeting, or would you, or, I'm sorry, public hearing? Would that be potentially the final meeting, or would we still need another one after?
Well, I'll have to check with, it depends on the board whether they want another meeting or not. We could possibly have that. I'll double check the ordinance. You have a copy of this, of the Searsport subdivision
Oh, I
ordinance.
have all kinds of copies of
I'm
everything.
sure. You can check on that. If there's nothing in there, and like I say, I apologize to you, I didn't research that. If there's nothing in there saying we must have
Separate.
a final, we couldn't join the final and the preliminary in one, then we'll try and do that for expedience's sake.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Does that sound all right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy.
Does anyone have the 11th hour? No? Randy, you have the code enforcement officer report?
I don't have anything, I think,
Last room.
I don't have anything this month. The last report that I had, I think you guys are aware of with the biomass material, the wood product place over there. They've met all of their requirements that you guys had put on them back when they was approved for that, up to and including the buff area, and I've got a letter of that, a copy of that letter in their file. Otherwise than that, everything seems to be going along smoothly right at this present time.
Okay, great.
I have a couple questions about that.
Okay.
The buffer, I was a little bit unclear about their buffer. Are we talking about the buffer in between their property and the industrial, or in between them and the abutter?
It will be between Pestina's and their property,
Okay.
where it was required, because the rest of it's not required there.
And is that happening, it's in some time soon, or what's,
They didn't put a timeline on it, but it is happening, as from what I've talked with the owner, that they're gonna put those trees up and have them planted, but I don't have a definite time when it's gonna happen.
The letter says early September.
Yeah, I think it's the best time.
Yeah.
So-
Spring and fall, or?
yeah,
So the buffer's going between their property and who?
Pestana.
Stone, okay,
Pestana, yeah.
thank you.
And just for the public's sake, we discussed it earlier, the wood pile that's in the front yard is temporary.
That's what I was told by the owner, yes, it's temporary because of security reasons. They couldn't put it down in the wood lot or the wood yard while they was hauling salt up to Maine material because of security reasons with the port. So my understanding is it's supposed to move down, back down, or go down to the wood yard, yes.
Because that's something we didn't permit, storing wood in the front yard. I mean, I understand, I'm not trying to be difficult here,
No.
but I wouldn't want to see this be a regular thing, that we keep dropping wood in the front yard. It's not what we're
Right.
supposed to be allowing.
It happened, of course, it happened when I don't know whether it was a weekend or what, but when it happened, I found out about it on a Monday morning when I come in, and I called and asked him about it. Actually, it was one of his workers, and they told me that's what was happening because of that. And I was assured at that time it wasn't going to be a regular thing. And I haven't bothered him for a month since it's been sitting there, but there is enough generation so that I am going to ask him when it's leaving.
Sure.
And like I said, there's a sawmill there. Everybody, I think, has been by this, aware of the sawmill. Again, from the owner, my understanding is that he's taking some of those logs and sawing enough lumber to rebuild the building that was demolished. And they've already taken out a building permit for that. So as long as they're doing it for private use, there's not a problem, and as long as they stay within that hourly perimeter, there's not a problem. If it becomes a commercial use, then they're gonna have to come back before us or the planning board.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Ryan, did you have?
I'm good, thanks.
You're okay?
Well, that's the thing I don't know. I know that, 2 weeks ago was the last ship that was unloaded over there, so I was kind of hoping they'd be gone last week when I was away on vacation. I rode up by there today and they're still there, so I figured tomorrow when I come in, I was gonna at least touch base with them and see when they work them over. That's the best.
These are lots that will be shipped out of the port?
That's my understanding. They're the same logs that they've got down in the yard already, yeah.
And has all the salt been brought in so that that's a non-issue now?
That's what?
All the salt, has that been brought in?
Yes, that's,
So
yeah,
that
that's,
security is a non-issue?
yeah. As far as the town goes.
According to what they said in the paper, they got enough salt to last them in the next year, in the end of next year.
Right.
So they shouldn't be bothering anything for a while.
Can you double check on that?
Yep, yep.
When that'll be moved?
Is he still shipping hardwood logs, or because everything was supposed to be debacked if it wasn't hardwood, I thought.
Again, from what I know of what they've said, they debark them before they ship them out. And there's a DEP issue with that, because they can't have that bark laying on the ground because now it becomes a environmental concern. So the particulars, I don't know for sure. And if it take the bark off without keeping them watered down, they're gonna split and crack it.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my knowledge on what the shipping process is on.
Thank you.
Amy, check that, the ordinance. I believe you have to get us a copy 23 days before the meeting. And the reason is it has to be advertised twice in the newspaper. So that's almost a 3-week period.
Right, yeah, we got this to you July 13th for the August, today, 14th. So we had this in a month in advance, so
Yeah.
we'll do the best we can.
Otherwise, it'll have to be postponed until the following month because it needs to be advertised twice. We need a response, which we take care of, and there's no problem there, but we have to have a copy of that.
And I have to make sure it's 10 copies, right, Randy?
Pardon?
I only sent 6 last time.
I know. I think the ordinance says 10.
I think I was preparing about 9 different applications at that point. When I got my numbers mixed up from different towns.
Yeah.
It's been a busy summer.
And the preliminary plan fee is $355, but you can check with Randy for that fee. And then there's also a fee for the final plan if we can schedule that. But I'm sure next meeting in September, we'll just do what we did tonight and say it's complete or not complete, and then come up with a date for the public hearing, and then we can also have the preliminary plan on that public hearing, and that would be in October, and try and get the final hearing in October also. So we're looking for September to say it's complete, and then October to have a public hearing, which we can have at the same time as the preliminary plan. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, great. Correspondence. I think everybody on the planning board, we'll get to the public in a couple minutes, okay? Everybody on the planning board received a letter from the Allens?
Yes.
Okay, don't see Dorothy here tonight, but I'd like to respond to a couple things. She was concerned about notifying all the abutters. Well, we do notify all the abutters. And the definition of abutter is in the land use ordinance and the site plan review. It's basically lots that touch the lots that is in question. So that's how we determine who's in a butter and who's been notified. She also had a remark about common areas.
That's probably where I heard it.
I've checked all of our approved plot plans that are registered with the Registry of Deeds, and none of them have designated any type of common area. The road condition she brings up, that has to be taken up with James Gilway. He's the road commissioner. And she also mentioned that we should delay talking about any additional subdivisions. We can't do that by ordinance. There's no way that we can delay if somebody comes to us with a subdivision plan. The road construction is not applicable in delaying a plan. Okay, open to the public. Why don't you come up and grab a mic and...
I won't need the mic. I think that you can hear me.
Excuse me,
Right?
I can hear you, the people at home can't.
You made a comment that all of the abutters were notified.
Yep.
You didn't notify me. I have lots 11 and 12, and I was not notified. I came to the town office and requested a copy of the letter. Just so the board knows it, in the future, you should notify me if it's lot 10, because I am an abutter. I'm
Okay.
lot 11 and 12.
There was a piece sent out to your address,
It was to my son.
That's
He
right.
he owns lot 9.
and he couldn't tell you about it?
No, I found out, and I went and got a copy.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
if the board,
I thought
if
you
the
all-
rule is to notify all of the abutters, I would just appreciate it if you send one addressed to my wife and I, okay?
Okay, no problem.
Appreciate it.
I thought you were all in the same house. Sorry. It's the same address.
Same P.O. box, but not in the same house.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Anyone else? Okay, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All those in favor? 500. Thank you.